Colleagues, I thought ahead of the bank holiday weekend it might be worth giving you an update on several issues as to where we are with the current situation. The first thing to say is to thank you all enormously for the fantastic work you have done over the last few weeks in coping with the lockdown, in shifting so much of our activity online, and also those of you who have been involved in the COVID response research for doing an amazing job. The profile of the university in the COVID response has been really high, and the college is getting a lot of recognition for the terrific research that we've been doing. And I know that many of you have been working really day and night to drive these projects through. So thank you all very much indeed. It's hugely appreciated. And it's going to really help the college as we move forward in the future. So today is a really important day, and it's quite an exciting day in many ways, because as those of you who checked your email yesterday will have seen a message from the Vice-Chancellor announcing our plans for reopening the university campus. And although this is just the start of a process of reopening and restoration, and we've got a long way to go, and there are many hurdles that we may face. This does feel like real sort of light at the end of the tunnel, and I thought it was important to give you an outline of how this will work. The exact details we're still thrashing out, but we will begin to see the campus opening up from June and through July into August, and then a second phase in August through to September. So how will this affect us in the college? Well, as far as education is concerned, John and the education team have done a fantastic job in positioning us for moving into a blended learning approach. You will appreciate that it's very unlikely that for the foreseeable future we'll be having anything that looks like a conventional lecture, so all our main lectures will need to move online. And this is a challenge. It's also a real opportunity. I hope we don't just replicate our face-to-face lectures by talking into a video camera, but actually think about how we can make them more interesting and dynamic and different as we deliver education in a different way. We will be looking to provide on-campus teaching in the context of seminars and small groups, but obviously this will have to be done with social distancing, and the logistics around this are not insubstantial. But again, thanks to all of you who have been working through this with us, and I hope that we come up with a programme which is attractive to our students in the new academic year, but doesn't put any of our staff and students at undue risk. As far as our research work goes, and opening up different parts of the campus, I know this has been a major concern to many of you, particularly those of you with programmes of research that have been really set back by this whole process. And we are looking at beginning to reopen research areas starting from the beginning of June. Of course, some parts of our campus have been open already and have been carrying out COVID-related research, and very important research at that. But to extend that opening requires a lot of work in the background, and huge thanks to Karen and the Estates team for the work they've done in keeping the college open during lockdown. And please be aware that as we begin to extend opening, there is a large amount of work that Karen and the team will have to do to prepare the estate and to make it safe for when people begin to come back. So we will be working very closely with institute directors to prioritise where and how we open up research facilities. And some of the driving factors for this, of course, will be the number of people within a particular research area or research laboratory that it's safe to have, the implementation of social distancing and careful rules to make sure that we don't break government guidelines and we don't put people at risk. And this is going to result in a profound way in which we carry out our research. So I think we're probably all increasingly aware that the way we deliver our education is going to change profoundly in the future. And we're never going to go back entirely to the way that we've delivered teaching in the past. This is going to be just as true, and in some ways even more true, for our research activity, particularly our laboratory research activity. So if any of you think that come the new term in the autumn that everything is going to be back to normal, I'm afraid you're really mistaken. But what we can do is make sure that we function in a way which allows us to deliver the important research that the college continues to do, and to make sure that by adapting and by learning from what we've all had to do during lockdown, that we come up with new ways of operating that allow us to deliver our research in a way that is acceptable to our funders, to, of course, the public who ultimately fund the research we do in terms of the impact that we deliver, and to our students and staff. So some of the things we're going to need to think about are how many people can we have in any area, particularly thinking again of laboratory areas, but this will also be true once we begin to open clinical research areas. How many people can we have in that area at any one time? And if you think about the context of laboratory research, this is going to change markedly from how many of us have done this in the past, where the lab is a social environment where people interact and talk and chat. We're going to have to move to a system where you come in to do your experiments and then you go home to analyse your data and to do all the other work that you would normally do in your lab and within your office. And this is going to take a large amount of organisation, and it's going to take patience and forbearance on the part of everybody involved. But if we do this right, we can come up with systems that allow us to continue high quality research activity. So as we begin to open areas of the campus, many of you will be really keen to come back and work back in the medical school again. Some of you will not be able to come back because you're shielding, you're looking after vulnerable family members, and some of you will have major concerns and worries about returning to campus, and you shouldn't be ashamed of those concerns. They are very natural, and we will take into account people's personal circumstances when we plan for activity to restart on the campus. Another aspect that we all need to consider is how we're going to get into work and when we're going to arrive and when we're going to leave. The old concept of the rush hour is going to be gone. For those of us who come into work on the cross-city line, we have all been aware that those train carriages, as they get closer to the university, are a perfect incubator for any kind of infection, and that is going to be unacceptable in the future. So we're going to need to stagger when we come to work to avoid those kind of crushes on public transport. In addition, as many people feel concerned about coming on public transport, it's going to, of course, put increasing pressure on car parking facilities. So these are all things that we're having to factor in as we look at moving back and working again. I should, at this point, thank all of the teams and the groups across the college who I know have done remarkable work in setting up networks to support each other, to help people through this. Some people have found social isolating fairly easy, others have found it really difficult and really stressful, and I think everybody has been hugely appreciative of the networks and mutual support that colleagues have provided and continue to provide. And finally, although this has been a difficult period and will continue to be a difficult period as we go forward, it has forced us to think very carefully about how we operate, and it has brought forward some remarkable innovation both in teaching and in research. And can I ask you all to think about how we can adopt and bring some of that innovation and some of that ingenious initiative that's been displayed over the last few weeks into our practice as we move forward. There are real opportunities, if we get this right, to reset the way we work and the way we operate, to provide an even better quality of education to our students, and to continue to do outstanding cutting edge research. So thank you all very much for your forbearance. We, as the College Board, will keep you updated as things move, I think, really quite quickly over the next few weeks. Do bear with us and be patient. Some of you are going to feel frustrated about the pace of reopening, but we will do our very best to make sure that we do this as quickly, efficiently, but as safely as possible. And just finally to say, have a really good bank holiday. Hope the weather holds, and looking forward to seeing you face to face before too long.